Okay. And we're recording. So we didn't miss too much, just who I am. So that's good. But yeah, let's open this up here. All right. So let's just share to improve together. And really don't be embarrassed to share what you're thinking. Again, you can put it in the notes, come off mute, whatever's easiest for you. But we're all getting better today. So I just want to hear a few people's kind of what makes them different, what makes you different, and why people would choose to work with you. And a big part of why I'm asking is because this is going to be a conversation that's going to be had when you're trying to get a buyer broker agreement signed, which is going to be huge now. Let's check the chat here. Nobody putting anything in the chat. Okay, so there's a couple things that could be happening right now. One, we need to develop a unique value proposition, or two, ours are just so good we don't want to share with everybody else. Ethel, that's a good one. Resources, right? Your network that you have to help out. A lot of people might not have a network that they could share. Anybody else want to come off mute or add in the chat here kind of what the reason is that you think clients would be working with you over your competition that's sitting right here in the room?
Brandon, I can go if you want.
Would love that. Yeah, let me just let this person in. Go ahead.
My name is Jonathan Fisher. So we conduct annual reviews for our clients. In that review, we go over their equity, their goals, what they want to do with that equity. Is it another investment? Is it to upsize X, Y, and Z? If it has nothing to do with real estate, no worries. We work with financial planners. We work with good CPAs. If they don't want to play offense, then now let's play defense. We'll introduce them to an estate planner or a trust attorney, as well as if they don't have term life insurance, we'll introduce them to a life insurance agent. So we're always educating our clients on how to scale their assets, and not only real estate. We definitely believe in a well-rounded portfolio as far as investments.
Yep, and Kaylani will sit down for a buyer's consultation to prepare you for the home buying process, so you know what to expect when we start looking at homes. Jonathan, what you said, I think, is really something that's a lot different than what most people. It's a big part of what we do with what we call wealth teams, right? So, a lot of people, when I have this conversation with people, a lot of times the things that people are, part of their unique value proposition, they've got experience, they're going to market the property, different things like that. A big one that people say is building generational wealth. Now, Jonathan, an advantage that you have over most people is that you could say, is that something that you've heard from other people? And when they say, yeah, you could ask them, well, how are they going to help you build generational wealth? Because in most cases, your competition is just going to say, well, we're going to help you buy real estate, and that, grows people's generational wealth. When what you're doing is really going above and beyond and helping them build generational wealth outside of just the real estate you help them to purchase. So I think everybody can probably take a huge takeaway from that alone. But at the end of the day, things, Ethel, resources are things that other people can do. Kaylani, and again, this isn't I'm not trying to, I don't know how to put it, but the whole idea is to learn and grow, right? And we're being commoditized here. So this is not a knock against anybody, but a lot of these things that people say, experience, marketing, buyer's consultation, probably a lot of people offering buyer consultations. So appreciate you guys participating here. So I'm just going to kind of move along because, again, we're short on time and I'll be respectful of everybody's time. So we've been here before in the lending world, loan officers, anybody that's done this for a long time. Remember TRID, our commissions got slashed, and the industry really got commoditized. And now yours probably will be too. So what you see here in this first bullet point, right? Another realtor said they'll represent us for 1%. We have to do what's best for our family. This is something we hear in the lending world all the time. If the rate's 1/8% lower, right? I'm going to save $40 a month. I got to do what's best for my family. If people are going to save, you know, let's call it $15,000 on commission by paying a lower commission, that could be a semester tuition for their kids. So it might not seem like a lot of money, but it makes a difference to these families. And really, you know, something you could do is ask lenders you work with the reason that you or your client should work with them. You know, a lot of times we hear this in our industry all the time. We've got a ton of products. We have good service, or we're wildly available. We've got low rates or good communication. It's not really a unique value proposition, right? These are basic requirements of the job. If I told you we have good service and low rates, I don't think you're going to choose to work with me, right? So for us, right, it's pay, you know, having to pay for the rate. For you guys, it's going to be how to pay for your commission. And that's exactly why we're here. As you can see, you know, incapability of getting, you know, if a buyer can't afford to pay the commission and they're agreeing to pay you X amount and they don't know what, if the seller is going to pay for it, they won't sign it because they don't know how they're going to pay for it, right? So that kind of brings us to why we're here. And I want to touch on the people who are not here. I did get a good amount of excuses for why they don't need to be. And you might have some of these solutions in your back pocket right now for paying your commission. So right, here's one I hear a lot, just included in the purchase price. The issue with that is, of course, the potential for an appraisal issue. You got to have an appraisal gap strategy there. I've had people tell me, well, if the seller doesn't offer it, they would have already agreed upon with their buyers a flat rate that they would pay. So in this case, it's a lose-lose, right? The buyer has to pay X amount out of pocket, and the buyer's agent gets paid less than what they're worth. And then lastly here, right, I had people tell me, well, we're not going to put offers on homes that don't pay our commission. That's going to limit your client's search. And as we know, inventory is already ridiculously tight. NAR's making it difficult to even know if they are paying your commission or not. So you won't really have that option if the seller doesn't specifically tell you that before you show the property. And also that's something called steering. And I don't know about you guys, but my license is my livelihood. So I'm not willing to risk it. Now here's some other obvious options. I think these are the obvious ones, right? Seller's going to pay the commission, no change at all. That's a win-win, of course. Or buyer pays your commission out of pocket, no change to you, but your customer's coming out of pocket with a whole lot more. And again, you're going to be having to justify your pay in that buyer's meeting. And I want you to know, right, I do expect the first here to be the case in most situations, right? And you're probably planning and role playing to get sellers to pay the buyer agent on listing appointments. So I'm not necessarily trying to teach you, you know, to do things differently or that everything's going to change or anything like that. I want to give you real solutions that you can present in a buyer appointment to stand out. So here's just a quick note. If somebody doesn't have the funds for a down payment, we could look into other options for you, like adding down payment assistance or getting a gift, things like that, because to take advantage of these new options, we're really going to need to see a down payment of about 10% or more. The people that are going to be hurt the most with this is going to be the VA and FHA buyers, but there will likely be changes that allow them to finance the commission, because everyone knows that most people that are taking advantage of these loan programs will not be capable of paying out of pocket. And we'll, of course, keep you in the loop as we find solutions for those buyers as well. But moving on, there's different things that can happen, right? Maybe the seller offers a partial commission where they're going to pay the buyer a 1% or 2% commission, 1.5%, whatever it is. The other option, kind of going back to what I said earlier, you can include it in the purchase price, but you've really got to have an appraisal gap strategy for that. And then the last alternative that we really want to stress and be able to show people is the ability to basically finance the commission. And when I say finance the commission, it's structuring the financing in the proper way so that they're not coming out of pocket to pay your commission. And the way we, here's basically how we explain it to our clients, right? Everything that we do When it comes to comparisons, it's recorded and sent as a video so that we can explain a grid like this in a way that's easy for clients to understand, and also make it possible for them to share with spouses or other people that are helping with their decisions. So there's no telephone miscommunication, all that sort of thing. But really, we want all those people to be on the same page so that they can come up. If they do have any questions, obviously we can discuss those if there are any questions. But as you go along this way, you'll see, if they pay in cash, if they finance the commission, if they increase the purchase price. And as you can see here, right, let me get this out of the way. I don't know if you can see this bottom thing. It's bothering me. But as you can see, right, the monthly payments, if they pay it in cash, is the lowest possible, of course. But they're coming out of pocket with let's call it $178,500. Now, if they finance the commission, their monthly payment is going to go up slightly. Let's call it $150, $140. But what they're coming out of pocket with is $20,000 less, right? So you can see the benefit to a buyer, and you as a buyer agent showing them this possibility is something that most likely other people that they've spoke with on the phone or have sat down in that living room across from them have not discussed. This is a way to stand out. Now, we also want to show them the other options too, because even though it might be obvious to us, it might not be obvious to clients, right? So we show increasing the purchase price. And again, you're coming out of pocket with more, monthly payments around the same as column 2, so no big difference there. But the last column is something that we want to show people because we want to give people confidence and certainty. So what this is showing is basically the same as increasing the purchase price, but a seller, a listing agent might advise their sellers, hey, I'm a little nervous about this because what happens if we're selling this house for $700,000? What happens if the appraisal comes in for $700,000? And now we got to figure out what to do with this $20,000. This is something that we not only present to your clients so they're confident in what they're getting into, but also we present and explain to a listing agent so that they understand we already have an appraisal gap strategy in mind. So in case, God forbid, something like that were to happen, we know we can cover it. And as you can see, comparing column 2 to the last column, we have almost the same exact monthly payment, and they're coming in with actually less money. So this protects the sellers and the listing agent, knowing that they're going to get their commission and their money, and it also protects your buyer's payment and out of pocket so that they're not scrambling down the end. But just want to kind of go over that real quick. But before we get too ahead of ourselves with that, right, we've got to get the buyer broker agreement signed. And I really want to change this whole thing, right? We talk about BBA, buyer broker agreement. And instead of referring it to the buyer broker agreement, I think we should really be looking at it as the benefits of a buyer agent, BBA still, right? Benefits of a buyer agent. So let's make you different to show those benefits and make it easier to get that thing signed. Right? Because our unique value proposition, and again, some of you guys have some really good ones and you're going to be just fine there. But if someone comes in with a similar value proposition to you, you want to stand out. So moving on here, obviously offering alternative ways to pay your commission is going to be something that a lot of people are not doing and is going to set you apart. And you can use this on listing appointments as well, so that, if you're talking to maybe a seller and they say, well, yeah, we saw all this stuff in the news, we're not paying a buyer agent commission. You can show them that you have the ability to counter offers to net them the same or more and pay that buyer agent. So you're not limiting the traffic that's coming through the door. Also, lowball offers, right? A lot of people, quote unquote lowball offers, right? Because even if you come in and ask with the market today, we're not necessarily winning because there's people coming in over ask or waiving contingencies and all that sort of thing. So we can kind of reverse engineer this whole thing and explain how a quote unquote lower offer is going to net more for your sellers on a listing appointment, and it's going to make it possible for buyers who may have shown interest but didn't put an offer in because of affordability and that sort of thing. And obviously, appraisal gaps, that's something a lot of people have, can cover that. Improving affordability, this is a huge one, right? You can have someone, when you speak with them, they could be far along in the process. They could have already spoken with a lender. They could have used calculators online. They know kind of what range they want to be in and all that sort of thing. But you know how it goes as buyer's agents, right? You you show your the best that's possible and most closely matches what your buyers want to spend. And typically they go, oh, this is not working. We're not, these aren't the homes that we're expecting or looking for. So if we can go back and show them how they can make the same payment and increase what they're purchasing so that you're able to widen the search parameters, you could show them houses that another person might not. And I hate to say this, but in a lot of cases, buyers are liars. Buyers are happy to get listings from all different types of sources, to talk to their uncle's friend and all the rest of it. So if you can come in and show them properties and that, even if it's outside their price range and you haven't explained it yet, and they say, look, our max is this, we really want to stick to this monthly payment, you can say, I completely understand that, and we know that you're trying to stick with this monthly payment. This is how we're going to do it. So these are just a couple things, obviously, but this isn't all that different, right? A lot of these things you've seen before, but moving beyond that, we're really going to go differentiate ourselves further. And post-closing support, thank you to Jonathan, has pretty much already covered it because he does it too, right? And this is something we do on the lending side for our agents. So almost no one I speak with has that kind of support Jonathan provides in terms of building generational wealth outside of real estate. So building these wealth teams is a huge thing that you can do. I think somebody just tried to join. I don't know why I'm even looking, but I will. Yeah. We're almost done. But any case, yeah, the main reason I want to go over this, and you can scan this, it goes over all the different things that we do to differentiate ourselves that our business partners are able to use as something that they do, basically white label all the services that we offer. Because and don't get me wrong, I do them too, and I think they're great. But people that are going to say, hey, we'll stay in touch with you for life, we have client appreciation events, yada yada yada, what people care about is, like I said earlier, doing what's best for them and their families. And at the end of the day, showing ways that you do that is going to matter. So digital offers is something specifically that we do. It is a way to stand out to listing agents. If you want, again, in that QR code, I show you an example of it. Everything's covered in like 2 minutes. The post-closing support is huge. Like I said, whether that's past client appreciation events, value add phone calls with different things. We do a yearly calendar that helps them with home maintenance that they can download to their phone. It goes on and on and on. But really, at the end of the day, I want you guys to be able to walk into an appointment with a buyer, and when you leave, first off, the buyer broker agreement's already been signed, but I want them to already be prepared to refer you to their friends and family, because what you've shown them is so far and beyond what other people offer to them that are also trying to represent them as a buyer. So, and adding on to digital offers, a huge thing that we're about to roll out, I just finished with the legality of it and things like that, is a precision close guarantee, close on time every time. And we're literally going to pay sellers out of our pocket if we were to close late. So again, just another way to stand out to sellers and listing agents, to establish that confidence and get offers accepted quicker, which most people who are in the market for a house have either been through it already or have heard what a nightmare it can be to see 1,000 houses, put offers in, find houses they love, only to lose out and keep searching and yada, yada. We want to cut through all that with the way that we do things to get your offers accepted on the first time. And obviously, once in a while, we lose out. Second time is just fine with most people. Yeah, obviously, like I said, you can see more of what we do and how it looks and feels, because there's real examples in that link if you scan that QR code. So everybody, feel free to take your phone out and scan this. It's just going to improve your business with no extra time or effort on your part. That's our value. So now, really the important part, this is really key. I'm begging you, please do not waste this time. I took 30 minutes of your time. I'm going to stick to it. We're going to be out of here in at 12:30. But please do not waste this time. Please take out your phone, or if you're on your computer, send me an email, shoot me a text, DM me on Instagram, whatever it is. Tell me what your biggest takeaways were from our time here, the 30 minutes we spent together, and what challenges you would have implementing these things. And I don't expect you to do this at this moment, because obviously some of these things you haven't even had a chance to look at or anything like that. But that's really my number one thing. And I'm going to follow up with everybody to make sure that whatever it is that could stand in your way of getting a buyer broker agreement signed, that benefit of a buyer agent, I do not want anyone who has given me their time to walk out of a buyer's meeting without a buyer broker agreement signed, period. So whatever it takes to make that happen, whatever challenges you foresee happening that would keep you from getting that signed, please reach out. Let me know what that is. I'll walk you through it. If for some reason I haven't experienced already and don't know, let me know. I work with a group of loan officers across the country. One of them's in Iowa. I don't know if you know this. July 1st, they started with the NAR changes. So I have a pretty deep insight into the changes that are coming and what the problems are that it's causing for agents. And I really want to spread that to the people I work with or know here, so that you don't run into those issues and so that you have the greatest success moving forward. Because to me, time is probably the most valuable thing in the world. And if you're going to invest 30 minutes here scanning through these different ways that you can make sure you get your commission paid, I want to make sure you can articulate that to a potential client that you're going to represent as their buyer, because you are able to separate yourself. So regardless of what somebody else comes in and offers, I don't care if it's a lower commission, whatever they say they're going to do, it's not something that's going to make them want to work with anybody but you, because they make that decision on the first time you connect in person. So really at the end of the day, I just want to make sure you get your commissions when you represent anybody. And I would hate to see anybody, work for free or work for cheap, because I know how much effort you guys put into not just helping your clients, but also into getting them in the first place. So the amount of effort that you guys put forth in your business, I think you deserve to get paid what you're worth. And I really appreciate you guys taking 30 minutes. I'm obviously happy to stay and answer any questions that you might have, but I hope this was valuable for you, and it's a new way for you to get business. Just got a text, so that makes me feel good. But yeah, sorry I talked forever, but I had to get it done in 30 minutes. So if anybody's got questions or things they want to discuss, now's the time in the forum. We're happy to have that conversation.
Hey, Brandon, I was very interested in how buyers are able to finance the commission.
Yeah.
So I understand increasing the price. Obviously, again, we have to, be careful because of the appraisal gap, right? Making sure it appraises. I do understand that part. So essentially, you're adding, let's say, 2% on top of the purchase price offer. Would that be correct when you're doing it, increasing the price, and then asking for it as a concession from the seller? How would that work?
That is one option, right? You could go over ask for a concession in that same amount to basically pay the commission. Alternative way to do that, right, is to literally change the structure of the financing, manipulate basically where, and I know manipulate has a negative connotation, but it's not a negative word. But we can manipulate the structure of the financing so that basically they're coming out of pocket. That you're offering the same amount. Let's call it $700,000 for the sake of it. You offer $700,000, whatever they were planning to come in with, and whatever monthly payment they were planning on. If they don't offer a buyer agent commission, we shuffle the numbers around so they're still coming in with the same amount. They're still paying the same monthly, and you're getting paid your commission out of it. And like I said, I'll send this deck out so it's kind of laid out. Let me go back a few slides. But in here, you can kind of see how we moved around down payment and everything to get our closing costs to where they, I should say cash to close out of pocket to the same place that they would be or better than if they were, you know, paying it in cash, or if it was being compensated by the seller. Because if it was compensated by the seller, you just erase this 21,000, and we're at 157,412. We're changing their cash to close by $1,000. Their monthly payments essentially the same. You're making the offer for the same amount, and so you're not having to go over ask. That is an option which we show here, and we again show it here with a low appraisal coming in at 685. But basically, it's the structure of the financing to get their cash to close to the same, as well as their monthly payment.
I see. So in this particular case, for example, you adjusted their down payment to be less, so we gain some for the buyer's agent commission.
They have the money then to come in with it without coming out of pocket with more. Because this would be this, if this was, let's say, an original case scenario like today, right, and you were just making a $700,000 offer, the only thing we would remove is this 21,000 that we have to pay, because that would be paid by the seller. So this would be 157. So this stays about the same. The monthly payment doesn't really change, and they're coming in with more. And you know how it is in San Diego. The higher this purchase price is, which is going to be a lot of the case, the less of a difference it's going to make in their monthly payment as they make that adjustment to the structure of the financing.
What about if they have a lower down payment?
Yeah, so provided they have at least 10% down, we can do this. If they have less than 10% down, that would be a case. I know you, we started kind of a little earlier, I think, than you jumped in. But if a seller comes in, if a seller has, you know, a lower down payment, we can work with, I said it out loud, it's not even in this deck, I don't know what I'm doing, but we can do a couple of different things. We can look at getting down payment assistance. A lot of times, getting down payment assistance does not keep them from contributing to the down payment themselves. So if we can get them to where they need to be, they'll be good. Right now, the people who are going to have the biggest challenge is going to be FHA and VA buyers. And that's the thing we're constantly looking for solutions for. We'll be updating everybody as we find them. But I think just within FHA and VA, they'll make their own adjustments, because they're going to see the vast majority of people that would be using those products will not have the ability to pay for a commission out of pocket. And it's not that odd, because both VA and FHA loans already allow them to finance a higher amount because of the funding fee or upfront mortgage insurance that those offer. So it really wouldn't be that out of the question.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that. That helps a lot.
Of course. Yeah. And if you have other questions, obviously, just let me know.
I just want to add one thing to all of everything that Brandon said, is that, you know, this market is so hard and so competitive right now that we are always happy to call a borrower on your behalf. If you feel you have a client that's like on the fence and not sure if they want to use you, we're looking to create long-term relationships with all of you guys, where we will call them and cross-sell you to them. And the same thing, which we didn't touch upon on here, but if you're getting into listing appointments, I personally am always happy to show up to a listing appointment, as weird as that sounds to you realtors, that a lender's willing to do that. But working with builders, you know, Brandon has been working in this field for over 15 years now. I've been doing this over 25 years now, mostly with builders, and I'm starting to use their tricks of the trade to help sellers with resale, where you can offer temporary buy downs so that buyers are in a much more comfortable payment, at least for the year or two, and it's actually coming from the seller. And this is something that's, you know, a realtor should not have to explain to a seller. So if you ever want us to talk to a seller or a buyer on your behalf on anything that they're hesitating on, just give me or Brandon a call, a text, an email, whatever, and we're happy to discuss where they're running into the brick wall and come up with a solution for you guys and how we can address it so that it's more appealing to everybody.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Erwin. One thing from that is, it's not really unique ideas necessarily, or like we're the only people in the world that can do it. What really the thing that separates us is the way that we explain things and present it. The way we deliver certain things allows people to understand more simply, right? So I wouldn't just throw a grid like I showed you guys to somebody. This is something that if somebody receives it, first of all, it's going to be by video, so it's explained line item by line item. They know exactly what's going on and how it impacts them. But also people just explain things a little differently. That's why I love working with Erwin, because there's people who speak my language and we work very well together. And there's other people that I have to say, Erwin, they're just not getting it. Can you please explain it to them? And then when he says the same thing in another way, they get it. So sometimes if you're, you might have had a great meeting with somebody, but there's something that they're just scratching their head and not sure about. And also they might be willing to tell us things that they wouldn't say to you directly. And I don't mean that because they don't trust you or anything. I mean that because they don't want to hurt your feelings. And maybe you have the right, an answer to that would make them feel comfortable, but they just haven't shared that information with you for you to address it. So yeah, we certainly are happy to help any way we can. We do that, not even just us. We have partners too that help with listing appointments. If there's people that are having, issues selling because they've got whatever objections, we have people that help with that. So any way we can help is really what we're here for. Other than that, I think everybody's kind of seeming to exit, so we could be good there. But I'll hang around for a minute in case other people have questions or there's, things to discuss. Thank you, Ethel. Thank you, Donna. You have a good day. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
You too.
Thank you, brother. We'll wrap. I'll shoot you a text or an email, but thank you.
Okay, appreciate it, man. Good. We got to run into each other, Jonathan. I owe you one.
Likewise. I really appreciate this, though, especially the ability to come through on like some listing appointments too. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Leilani.
Have a great day.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.